What's going on, everybody? Y'all already know the vibes. And guys, I know it's been a little while since I posted a video. And the reason is my mom had a health scare. She was in the hospital. I was very stressed. It was obviously a very stressful time. And my mind just wasn't right. I didn't want to put out content if I wasn't in the right headspace. Family comes first. Everyone knows that. So I wanted to make sure everything was okay. Fortunately, everything is okay. She is out of the hospital. She's doing good. Things seem like they're going back to normal. So I'm glad on that because, who knows? I don't know what I would do without my mom. She is my absolute hero. But I figured I owed it to you, just to give you a quick update on why I've been kind of MIA. I just wanted to take some time, relax, reset. But things are good now. So now we're back on the grind. I'm going to be uploading consistently. And today's video is going to be interesting. It is because I get this question all the time in my stream, and it's something that I've wanted to talk about for a while now, if we're being honest. And the question that I always get is, Enable, if you were the GM of the Seattle Surge, what would you do with the roster moving forward? Because, when you look at them on paper, they seem like they'd be a solid squad, and they just can't seem to put it together. This is now the second year in a row. Yes, I was on Seattle Surge in the inaugural season, but we're going to forget about that. And I figured, you know what? I'm going to tell you what I would do. When you do look at this team on paper, you have some really good players. You have superstars. You have experienced players, players who have won multiple championships, won multiple MVPs. Okay, you have Octane, you have Gunless, you have Standy, and now the most recent addition in Classic. This team on paper should not be dead last in the league. And there's a couple ways you can go about it, right? You could blow it up, trade for picks. That's a quote I use a lot, but what that means is basically start from scratch, because I believe all the players on the team will be out of their contract at the end of the year, and you could try and rebuild a roster, because there's going to be roster mania in the offseason. Okay, maybe try your luck with a whole new set of players. The only constant from last year's Seattle team and this year's Seattle team is Octane. And a lot of people will give, they'll give shit to him. They'll give shit to Sam, saying whatever, it's his fault. He built the team. There's a lot more that goes on behind the scenes that you guys don't see. Okay, this isn't just Sam. Sam's not just calling the shots and we're just gonna have a good day. No, that's not how it works. Or they could maybe try and build around one or two of the players that they think is a superstar, because clearly they need to have a big change, right? There needs to be a change in the team roster, and maybe even on the management side with the coaching, right? I'm just getting the scouting, the analysts, whatever the case may be. And then as the GM, you also have to think about that if the contracts do end, not only do we have to figure out what works best for us, but the players also have to be willing to join the team, right? Because you got to assume that none of the players are happy on Seattle. Not saying that the management is bad, but clearly they're, kind of the laughing stock of the CDL. I hate to say it, but it's not fun. It's not fun. I can only imagine what Octane's going through with Gunless. Even Looney when he was playing, Christini, Classic, like all these guys. It's not fun to be a part of that team. And maybe they don't want to re-sign, or maybe they don't want to play on Seattle Surge if they have a choice. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting to think about all these possibilities moving forward, because at the end of the day, you want to have a contender. And I'm the new GM of the Seattle Surge. So this is what I would do. I would do everything in my power to at least keep one of these two players. Actually, let me rephrase that. I would keep only one of these two players, but it doesn't matter which one. And that is Octane or Gunless. Now, I would throw the absolute bag at either of them. I know Octane, his stock seems to be not as high as it was, right? It almost seems like a mob mentality where they're almost blaming him for the failures of the team. Whereas last year was like, get Octane some help, right? But I don't think Gunless and Octane work together. I think they both have two completely different ways of viewing Call of Duty and how it should be played at the highest level. And it's about personalities. Now, I'm not saying they hate each other. I don't know if they, they could be best friends out of the game. Newsflash, they're probably not, but I'm not trying to, don't take things out of context, okay? I'm just using this for argument's sake. But I would keep one of those players. I would try everything. Okay, one of those players needs to get the bag. Because if we're being honest, that's the only way that you keep either Gunless or Octane. Where that they're going to have options, okay, moving forward into the CDL next year. If they're going to have options, so you're going to have to give them a lot of money, or it's likely that they're just going to go play for another organization, another group of players, right? Compared to maybe if you look at Pristini Classic, they might not have the luxury to really play the free agency field. They might be willing to play for the same amount of money or not as high of a salary. But if you're trying to build a contender, I think you have to build around either Octane or Gunless. And that's going to be tough because if I had to guess, neither of them probably want to be there. So for the video's sake, I'm going to choose Octane. Okay, I'm going to give Octane the absolute super max, but I'm going to construct his teammates a little bit differently this time. In my opinion, I love Sam. I played alongside him, against him for a long time. Okay, he's one of my favorite teammates of all time. He's one of the most talented players when it comes to Call of Duty and just shooting straight. His nickname is literally the human turret for a reason. But I will say this, and this is a compliment, by the way. He is at his best when he doesn't have to be the one engaging first. Okay, he's good at engaging gunfights when he already gets a free kill, essentially. And I said this on stream the other day. People were like, "Oh, so you're saying he's a baiter? He's a baiter?" Every main assault rifle player in the league is a baiter. You have to be. You have to be. You need to be a floor general. Okay, you're not going to be the entry slayer for the team. That's not how it works. That's not how Call of Duty works. But more specifically, what I mean by that is when you look at Seattle in the beginning of the game, right, when they had Looney. Looney is more of a route man, okay? He's going to be the one rotating, making those huge plays on rotation, holding spawns. He's going to be, doing a very boring role, but a role that is needed. But when you have that with Pristini, who seems overly aggressive and can be streaky, and sometimes a lot faster than his teammates, it didn't give Sam an opportunity to really flourish, right? In my opinion, like as a GM, I'm looking as a GM. You need someone that is going to basically be Sam's personal entry fragger. And I know you're probably thinking like, well, that doesn't sound good right away if Sam needs like a personal bodyguard. But I think if you even look at recently Seattle Surge with Classic, that is similar to the player that I'm talking about. A player like Classic who has a good feel for the game in terms of pace. And he is a very selfless player, okay? He'll be willing to throw his life away or be the guy to just be the entry man. And, you're going to get put into rough situations a lot of the time. And Sam's been playing a lot better since I think that they've acquired Classic to the starting lineup, even though the team as a whole hasn't had that success, right? So that's why the first person that I would try and pair Octane with would be an entry submachine gun player, but not a player that is super overly aggressive, right? To where like they're just at a level, their pace is a level above everyone else on the team. Someone who has a good understanding of when to play fast, when to slow it down, to really make it easier for Sam to get in rhythm. Because when Sam gets in rhythm, he's one of the hardest players in the game to kill. And he turns into one of the best players in the game when he can really lock that in and be comfortable on the map. And as much as people hate him, I don't want to say hate, but I guess it's really hit or miss, because depending on the game or, just I guess how he's doing, people love Classic and sometimes they hate him and they think he's the absolute worst, right? I think Classic is one of the most underrated professional Call of Duty players in the league. I really do. And he just works well with Sam. I think you try and keep those two together. I do if I'm the GM. They've had success in the past. great placings. They've won championships together. But more importantly, Classic is the ideal entry player that, yeah, he might not be the best at, I guess, getting those two pieces right consistently, but he does make the game a lot easier on Sam. And majority of the time, Sam's going to be the superstar player on your team. That's just how it is with how talented he is. And another key attribute for Classic is he's very selfless, right? He's a very smart player. He's very selfless. He's willing to take on any role to make the team as good as they possibly can be. So I would try and pair those two up together. I really would. Not only do I feel like the personalities would mesh well, but I just feel like it makes sense. And you're kind of seeing that in Cold War with how well Sam has been playing. Now, I'm not saying that Sam's only playing as well as he has been lately because of Classic. Okay. But you got to think that Classic is having some sort of impact on that. You know, there has to be something going on because Octane is playing probably the best Cold War he's played all year long alongside Classic. So now that means the Seattle Surge roster would have Octane and Classic moving forward. And they still need 2 more players to fill out the roster, right? This is where it gets a little tricky. This is where it gets a little interesting because now I'm trying to find a really good sling submachine gun player that isn't necessarily aggressive. He doesn't need to be like the entry man. I'm looking for more of the methodical submachine gun player, right? Very, very high awareness type of player, has a great pace of the game. And more importantly, though, he is impactful in the killing department. Wow, that sounded kind of dark. In the slaying department, okay? And I would take a shot at an up-and-comer, a younger player. This is where I would kind of have that raw young player that can learn from Octane, that can learn from Classic, right? Be teachable or coachable. And it's tough because I'm trying to keep this as realistic as possible, right? I can't just be like, oh, yeah, we're going to pick up Sim. Okay, Sim's not going to Seattle Surge. Okay, it's not happening. Not in your wildest dreams. Imagine that actually happens. Nah, I'd be mind blown. No, but so I would try and pick up a player like Standy, a player who is very young. He's still very raw. Okay, Minnesota isn't having the most success, so who knows what their management is looking at doing in the future. Who knows what Standy's thinking? Because obviously, you know, he's playing well, but he wants to be a part of a team that can contend. And I think that the Minnesota team is in a weird situation where Standy could be interested in joining Classic and Octane in Seattle. I think that is a possibility. Now, I know this is a hot take. I'm spitballing. Okay, but this is what I would try and do. So that would mean that my roster is now Octane as the main AR. You have Classic being that entry, really selfless player that just has great chemistry with Octane. They've had success in the past. Very smart player. And then you bring in Standy, the young gun who's very raw. He showed great potential. I mean, he's been great in the CDL this year. But he is the man that is going to help consistently not only slay, but have a high impact in the game. Because he's going to be able to get those kills. And not only get those kills, chain, you know, get 2-3 pieces, be the guy that you can really rely on consistently to bail you out by getting those multi-kills. And that's why I think it would be a good fit. I do. He's got a really good feel for Cold War. I know this is the first game that I've really seen him. So it's hard to tell because Call of Duty changes every year. But I just feel like he has a good pace to him. He's not too fast. He's not too slow. I know in Minnesota, he is more on the aggressive side because you have Attach, who is a slower sub than him. But I think he would fit really well with Classic and Octane. And this one's got to be the toughest one because I want to try and keep it as realistic as I can. And I know someone's going to see this video in the future, right? And they're like, wow, you weren't even close to right. And it's like, I can't predict roster mania, okay? We could have some insanely different teams next year. So I'm just prefacing this with cut me some slack, okay? But my 4th player, which I think could be realistic, I would gun for Big Wake for Awakening. in my flex role. There's a couple issues though. One, you got to feel like big flex. You got to feel like big flex. You got to feel like Big Wake is going to have a lot of offers going into the next game, assuming that he plays well on LAN, because I don't think he's played on LAN since being in the CDL. He's been phenomenal in the 2 Call of Duties that he's played. Modern Warfare being his breakout year, and then Cold War. Everyone knows who Big Wake is. He is fantastic, and he gets a lot of love. So I know that there's going to be teams that are looking to kind of build their org around Big Wake. But I would really try and get Big Wake to join Seattle alongside Octane. Okay, you know, throw him the bag. I don't know what the salary cap is going to be or what it is, whatever. Do whatever I can though, because not only will Big Wake help in the slaying category, right? You have Octane, you have Standy, you have Big Wake, but I think Big Wake is one of the smartest players in Call of Duty right now in the league. And not only is he one of the smartest, he also is, his pacing is you know, some of the best I've seen. And what I mean by that, if you guys are kind of confused by like what pacing is, his understanding for the speed that he needs to play at. He's not fast, he's not slow. He gets it. He knows when he needs to speed it up, when he needs to really slow it down, and just hold his aim. And his awareness is by far, I think, his biggest and best attribute that he has. He's unbelievably talented, but his awareness is S tier. If you watch Big Wake play, I mean, shit, in Modern Warfare, people thought he was cheating when he first came in, because like there's not many better players in the CDL right now that have better awareness than Awakening, in my opinion. Honestly, the kid is special, and yeah, he maybe isn't hyped up as some of the other players. You know, Florida is a team that they've been kind of poor throughout the whole year. They are looking a lot better as of late. But I think there would be a real opportunity there if you were Seattle to try and snag him from Florida, especially if you can build this team that I'm creating in my head that is probably never going to happen. But, you know, let's have fun with it. And I think this team would do wonders. I really do. I think you'd have the perfect mix of players. Big Wake would be crucial to the team because you don't know the meta, but he can run either gun at a very high level, which helps because if you need to have 2 ARs, you have Octane and Big Wake. You know, it'd be similar to how in Black Ops 4 in the beginning, we had Octane and Slasher. We had the 2 best ARs in the game and people thought it was stupid. And then you go and find out that having 2 really good ARs is pretty important. You know what I'm saying? So, but like I said, guys, let me know in the comment section what you would try and do if you were the general manager of the Seattle Surge. Okay, but keep it as realistic as you possibly can. I don't want to see pick up the FaZe roster, okay, because that's not happening. Really try and think about it because it creates an interesting dialogue, right? And I want to see which direction you guys are thinking. You know, do you think you rebuild around any player on the team currently, or do you blow it up? Do you go complete new talent, question marks, just raw players that maybe have a very high potential, or what? I want to know. Also, I am sorry because it is very late when I'm recording this video, so I am pretty tired, but I wanted to get a video out, man. I miss you guys. I hope everyone's been well, and until next time, I'm gonna see y'all when I see y'all. Peace.